Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Game On. I'm your host, Will. And yes, if you're watching the video portion of this, I did shaved it off. It was getting a little, getting a little wild there. Had to clean it up a bit, but glad to have you in. Hope you guys are doing well this early Wednesday morning. For those of you that are new to the show, this is this show in the morning here that I'm doing. It is just a quick little recap. I'm planning on just doing these every morning, going live, half hour or less, and we're going to recap what happened in sports the day before, and then mainly we're going to want to focus on what's the news, what's the rumors, what's going on in sports today, what games do we got today, and more importantly, is there a betting edge to where we can make some money betting some of these games? But we'll be covering sports news and all things sports. So glad to have you in. And if you haven't already, make sure you go watch over on Rumble. All right. We're up on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, Twitter, all that good stuff. But Rumble is where it's at. And listen, this is what I mean. If you're a creator out there, especially a small creator just trying to get into the game of making content, that you'll find out real quick, the hardest thing isn't making the content. It is getting people to see your content. And Rumble is a great platform for small creators. And they haven't told me to say this. They haven't paid me to say this. And I'm just saying this from experience because yesterday, this show that I'm doing in the morning, yesterday, Rumble put it up on the main stream. So you went to their homepage. There my face was right there. And that video that I did yesterday got over 50,000 views. Now it's on me to take this opportunity that they gave me and run with it and create good content and get people excited that want to come join the show and be a part of the channel. But the fact that they did that is so huge for a small creator like myself looking to grow and getting exposure. So Rumble's great. So if you can go over to Rumble, look for Game On Show, subscribe to the channel. If you're on Rumble over there, make sure you hit the like button while you're there and also subscribe to the channel. Would really appreciate it. And speaking of Rumble, Patriot Sports, good morning, Will. Good morning to you, Chris. Hope you're doing well. Last night, before we get into the sports and news and stuff, last night we had was up at was excited. I've been excited. I was to watch Cocaine Bear. Finally got around to watching it. My wife was actually excited to watch it. God, that movie had so much potential. So much potential to be funny, to be good, and it just was a dud. It was a dud. They tried to be funny. It wasn't funny, and it was just my wife just turns and looks at me and she goes, "This is stupid. It's just a bear on cocaine killing people." And I go, "Well, it kind of says it in the title, right?" I mean, they're not lying to us, at least. Anyways, we are going to be joined by Heavy Steps. He will be joining here shortly. So I'm going to push back the World Baseball Classic finale. We're going to be talking about that when our MLB expert gets here in Heavy Steps, which he should be joining the show shortly. Let's start with the association. All right. And we're going to start, before we get into the games, we're going to start with, there was a pretty bad injury last night. Oh, speaking of the devil, let me add him in here.
What's
Heavy
up?
Steps, good morning, sir.
I had to sneak away and get in a little
God,
closet action here at work.
look at that. You're all dressed up and nice. Well, since you're here, I will switch over to this real quick. The World Baseball Classic, since I have you here. I was going to start with the NBA, but we'll start with the World Baseball Classic. United States falls to Japan 2-3. I'm kind of disappointed in this one, not because United States lost, but I thought there was going to be a lot more action in this game, a lot more scoring. We had talked about the over 9.5, over 10, if you could get it around there. But give me your thoughts on this. United States looking to be back-to-back World Baseball Classic champs, and they fall short to Japan. What happened?
Well, I mean, I think first 3-2, the score, the under hitting, the whole tournament. You've seen, like you said, runs have been coming so easily for teams. I think last night was really like the first night that these big players like felt a little bit of pressure. Obviously, the stage has been big the whole time. I'm not really sure what other players were doing for other countries. But obviously, I think a couple of disadvantages the United States had, which, I mean, obviously they have a star-studded lineup, so it's hard to say they had disadvantages, but a lot of these parent clubs had caps on the pitching. So essentially, since we're getting ready for MLB, these pitchers were having to, go out and throw 30 to 40 pitches, regardless of, how they were doing in the game. So I think that's one of the things that handicapped them a little bit as far as pitching goes. And we didn't really see the big name pitchers come out. And for all these other countries like Japan, they had their top players playing. And obviously they had Otani, which I think we can pretty much put the stamp on him as being easily the best player in baseball. But really, Trout, it comes down to like these players, like Mookie Betts did his part at the top of the order. Most of the pitchers did their part, albeit, the restrictions they had. But when it comes down to it, what's up?
I mean, Mookie Betts did ground into a double play at the top of the ninth. Not ideal.
Yeah, he did, but he was 2 for 4 before that. So, I know what I'm about to say contradicts what I'm going to say right after. You can't go down to one at bat, but game on the line. Let's talk about game on the line. When you've got what we call the best player in baseball, Mike Trout, who hasn't done anything as far as Major League Baseball goes except play on a team that can't win. Does he make people better around him? That's the big question about Trout. And this tournament, this moment, in my opinion, he hit a home run in like the first game, but he really didn't do that much in this tournament. And then when it came down to it, he got K'd by Otani. Mm-hmm. The game was on the line. You had a runner in scoring position. So I don't know. I think it's more about, I think the big story coming out of the game for me is Mike Trout, so
it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool that it ended there, Trout and Oshani, but the USA, they did have 9 hits, only 2 runs. So, I mean, they were getting some in position. They just couldn't capitalize.
Manufacture, and that's the difference between the way the Japanese players play and the way that we play. So, I mean, they're just more of a disciplined team. The way they threw the game, they had pitchers coming in every inning. So essentially for them, they played it as a true championship game, no game after it, balls to the wall. We'll throw whoever. The manager had a great idea with putting Darvish in late and then bringing Otani in on the back end to close the game out. So I just think that they got outmanaged, they got outplayed. But the one thing I will say that I do like is the fact that these players took pride in playing for their country. They called them exhibition games, but I think that they treated them like actual games, other than the pitching stuff. But this next World Baseball Classic, I'd like to see some better pitchers. I know that a lot of the clubs are all like scared about injuries and whatnot, but in my opinion, it gets your pitcher even more ready, for game action. Because now all these guys, they're coming off playing in front of 40,000 fans. Every pitch means something, and now they're going to opening day, 162 games. So it's like, how do you go from playing in the World Baseball Classic Championship to, I mean, opening day will be great, but then after that, it's
someone I was listening to on sports radio was saying that they love this World Baseball Classic. The one thing that they would change about it is move it to the fall.
Yeah.
Move it to the fall, so it's either at the end of the season or it's during the postseason, and you don't have to. That way, owners don't have to worry about their players getting injured. Obviously, if your team's still in the postseason, you're not going to be on the United States team, right?
Yeah.
But move it to the fall. That way, these players can go out there, give it their all, and then you don't have to worry about them turning around to start the season, or if they get injured, they got time to recover, or something like that. And I thought that was a pretty good take. I think what hurts the most about this loss is happened on our home turf.
Yeah, and Japan, I mean, they traveled well, so a lot of the fans were Japanese fans, and most of the World Baseball Classic, the USA, believe it or not, was outnumbered when it came to fans. I mean, you put most of the games down in Miami, where most of those, like Cuba is like literally, just right there off the coast of Miami. So I think a lot of their fans already live there. And then Japan, they just take baseball so serious. I think like the amount of people that watched the game in Japan was like insane. It was like crazy amount of people were watching.
That's awesome. So over on Rumble, we have Chris over at Patriot Sports Radio saying, "Heavy looking GQ, brother." Bear with the machine guns. Good morning. He says, "Hey yo," and he also says that Ohtani versus Trout last duel was crazy. And yes, that's what we were just covering. World Baseball Classic. All right, well, that's gonna put a little into the baseball discussion, at least for a few days. And Heavy Steps is going to be doing some baseball stuff here when the season starts, or even before the season starts here on the channel. So if you're into baseball and you're looking forward to that, Heavy Steps your guy. He's going to be producing content on here,
and hopefully maybe opening day, probably do maybe a little live watch along or something.
Yeah, hell yeah, absolutely. Bear with the Machine Gun says, "I'm gonna rock my Ohtani jersey all day." Atta baby brother, do it. You should, man. That guy was balling out last night. MVP of the WCB. Okay. Steps, how much time you got?
I got a little bit more time.
Okay. Quickly, I wanted to, while I have you here, I wanted to run through the Sweet 16. I was going to go through the odds and matchups just real quick. We've been doing that every day, but then I entered into another tournament, the Sweet 16 tournament. I was going to run through and we could fill one out together real quick, if that works for you.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, so here we go. Here are the odds. We got Michigan State still a -1.5 point favorite over Kansas State. Sharp action on Michigan State, but my model projection says take K-State. This is according to the Action Network, of course. Arkansas and UConn. It's come down a little bit. Arkansas opened up a 4-point dog. Now they're 3.5 point dog. Sharp money is on Arkansas. But we have some kind of big, or I guess an Action Network expert on UConn. 63% of the bets, but 79% of the money is on UConn. I know the analytics love UConn, and the Ken Palm and all that stuff. Everyone's very high on UConn. FAU, Tennessee opened a 5.5 point favorite. They're still a 5.5 point favorite. Sharp money on FAU. A pro system play on FAU, and an Action Network expert on FAU. A lot of people liking the points with FAU here. FAU getting 53% of the bets, but 60% of the money. And then Gonzaga, UCLA, which I'm really excited to watch this one. Gonzaga still a 2.5 point dog to UCLA. Sharp money and big money on UCLA. 37% of the bets, but 63% of the money. Then we go to Friday, the second half of the Sweet 16. San Diego State, Alabama 7-point favorite. Sharp money, big money, pro system, model projection, and an Action Network expert on San Diego State plus a 7.5. I don't see how.
I've never seen that, by the way, where it's lit up all across, like every expert model. It's got every lit up. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah. There's usually always one missing, Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It makes me like Alabama even more.
Dude, I feel the same way with the Action app. Like anytime I see it lit up across the board, I always take it for the side.
Exactly. Miami and Houston 7.5 point favorite over Miami. Oh man, sharp money on Houston -7.5, and an expert on Houston. I kind of like Miami in that one with the points, that is, because Houston is such an up. Houston could blow any team out, but they can also just lay a dud. And like we saw, being down 10 points at half to Auburn. I mean, yeah, they came out in the second half and whooped that ass, but it's just this Houston team is so up and down.
Hopefully that was their little like blip on the radar of the tournament. I think Miami, we'll get into in a minute, but they hit a lot of big shots against IU. So
yeah,
I don't know if they'll be able to repeat that.
Princeton, Creighton 10-point favorite against the Cinderella team Princeton. Sharp money on Princeton, but big money on Creighton. 37% of the bets, but 71% of the money is on Creighton -10. That's crazy. And then Xavier, Texas 4-point favorite over Xavier. I'm kind of shocked that there's no signals on this one yet. I think this is going to be one of the best games of the weekend, or of the Sweet 16 round 2. Texas Xavier should be a good one. So while I still have you here, let's go over to this contest. Now you got to remember, we can't just, it's a contest. So you got to get a little bold on some of these predictions if you want to actually, stand out and win. But Alabama, San Diego State, I think we're in agreement. We like Alabama.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is over on Bet Online, people. We are it's a fun little tournament. You just fill out who you think's going to win and who the champion's going to be. And if we win something on this stream that I'm doing here, if this contest or this bracket that I'm entering in, if we win some money on this one, which I think the top prize in this one's like 25K or something like that, I will be spreading the winnings out one way or another over at the locals community. That's gameon.locals.com. So if you're a member over there, you will get a take of whatever we win out of this. So whether it's through prizes or contests and stuff that we do over there, we will take the winnings and spread it out over there. So make sure you go join over at gameon.locals.com. Anyways, what were you saying, Heavy Steps?
Alabama hasn't been tested yet, and I think this will be the first matchup where they really get tested a little bit. But I think San Diego State, I think the buck stops here. They had an easy matchup last game where they were able just to pound the ball inside and play defense, but I just don't see them even making this game close.
They've played two mid-major teams, two good mid-major teams, but like you said, they used their size and athleticism to win the last game. You're not going to be able to do that against Alabama. Alabama literally put up 96 points. Now, Alabama put up 96 points in the first round, and their best player didn't even score a point. It's just like, Jesus. Creighton Princeton. Yeah, Creighton Princeton. What do you think here? Do you think the Cinderella team, does it stop here?
Yeah, I think, and when you went over where the money was at on action, that's usually, in my opinion, is a good sweet spot for big money. Because I think you said it was like 30-something% of the bets, but 77% of the money. Obviously, we've got some time before the game comes, so more money will come in. But I mean, that somebody's out there. Somebody put some big money down on Creighton, and I know -10's double digits, but I think Creighton's going to cover that. I don't think.
Yeah, Creighton's going to be, and Creighton's a good shooting team too. Over on YouTube, shout out to Mike Hawk. He says hello and good morning. Well, good morning to you, sir. I am a new subscriber.
Hold on.
Appreciate it.
Hold on. Read that name again.
Mike Hawk.
Don't say it too many.
I like it. He says, good channel, guys. I like it. I get it. I didn't even
I feel like I know who that is. I feel like
that's awesome. He says, good channel, guys. And he says, F Japan, how did they beat Americans? Well, you win because we have Mike Trout. I was just saying, because we have Mike Trout. That's how.
You got it.
That's how. Okay, between Alabama and Creighton, who do you got? Alabama, Creighton.
Goodness, Alabama.
Okay, perfect.
But I think that'll be their first test.
Yeah, and it should be a good one. And if Creighton's comes to that game shooting lights out, it's over for Alabama. Alabama have to be on their A game because Creighton can shoot. Florida Atlantic, Tennessee. We saw everything. A lot of people liking Florida Atlantic over on the Action Network, but that was with the points. What do you think, Heavy Steps?
Yeah, I already bet it. I took the points. I got 5.5. I feel like out of all the teams left, if you want to call it an upset, this would be the team that could make it an upset. If you want to, I don't even know if you would call it an upset because they have such a good record and they've played really well. So this one to me is like the game that I think could be the most kind of confusing for people on which side they're going to take. But I think FAU with the points, 5.5. Tennessee's obviously played good defense this tournament, probably the best defensive team left in the tournament. So I don't know.
Let's take them here. Let's take FAU here to win the game. Then we'll take them because one thing, like I said, I think Tennessee they've played well and they're really good defensively, but I think the injury to their point guard, I think that's going to catch up to them, and I think it catches up here. Kansas State and Michigan State. What do you think?
Dude, this is the one that's got me stumped. Obviously, I want to take Michigan State because they have Izzo and everything, but I love the coach for Kansas State and how he's got these players are loose. Have you seen any of their pregame locker room warm-ups or anything like that?
No, but I mean they've taken care of business.
Yeah, the coach throws some music on and gets out there, starts dancing and stuff, gets the guys loose. So I don't know. I think let's go K-State.
K-State, there it is. Now K-State versus Florida Atlantic. What do you think?
Oh, goodness. I'm going to ride the wave with K-State.
K-State, there it is. Okay, so we got K-State in our Final Four for this contest. Houston, Miami, what do you got?
I think Houston had their little mishap last round. I think that they'll come out and I think they'll dominate this game.
They kind of had it for both rounds, though. I think it was just a bad weekend because it wasn't that great of a game against the 16th seed for what you would expect Houston to do against the 16th seed. So,
and I don't think
and Miami playing with a
together.
chip on their shoulder because everyone was doubting them. Everyone didn't even think they'd get to the Sweet 16. You know,
their women's team knocked off IU #1, and
Ooh.
yeah, so IU got knocked off. By
we talked about that yesterday.
Jesus.
All right. Texas Xavier, what do you got?
Texas. I don't. Xavier hasn't really impressed me so far this tournament. So, and Texas is playing well, so I'll go Texas.
All right, in the Battle of Houston, Texas, or I guess of Texas, is Houston and Texas. Who do you got?
Houston. I think this will be a great game.
It's going to be a fun one. Fun one. Okay, Arkansas, Connecticut. Who you got? UConn or Arkansas? You think Arkansas can? SEC's been doing pretty good.
I think though that I got UConn, man. It's the one team that like I've kind of have the most confidence in this tournament. Picking, and obviously Marquette fall out. That whole conference I think is out by this point. UConn's last man standing, and I think that I think they're a strong team. I think they'll make it to the Final Four if that ruins the next two picks.
Gonzaga, UCLA.
I'm gonna go Gonzaga.
Me too. I love Gonzaga. They're playing some great ball. And honestly, the biggest thing for me in this one is as UCLA, before the tournament started, they were down two of their best defenders. And that was fine for the first two rounds. But when you're playing against a team like Gonzaga who can score like crazy, you need them. You know, this should be a fun game. The crowd should be split 50-50. I know it's down in California, but Zags travel well down there. It should be rocking, and it's the night game Thursday. I'm looking forward to it.
They're also
except for I'm not going to be able to watch it because I bought a ticket to John Wick 4.
So who?
John Wick 4 comes out Thursday night.
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
Don't tell me you don't like John Wick movies.
Don't Fast and Furious 10 at the same time.
Dude, John Wick is way better than Fast and the Furious. What are you talking about?
I stopped at John Wick 1, so.
Oh my God! Well, you're missing out.
This next game's tough, man. Gonzaga and Connecticut. I think it's a coin flip, but I think obviously I like Connecticut. But if you want to be realistic here, dude, Gonzaga's just battle tested. They've been here before. They've made it far deep in the tournament the last couple times they've been in it. So. And they got Timmy. He's out there hitting 3-pointers. So is this his last year of eligibility? It has to be.
Who the hell knows? I'm just kidding. Yeah, it is. It should be. This should be.
He's like a 7th-year senior.
Yeah, I know. All right, we're going Zags. Zags. The year that they're not a 1 seed, they usually do pretty well. Or the years they aren't a 1 seed. All right, so we got Houston, Gonzaga. Who you got?
I think in these type of contests, you got to go with Gonzaga, just because you know a lot of people are going to have Houston. So when it comes out,
they're playing so well defensively too, so well. And like you said, they've been there. They got the experience. Alabama, Kansas State.
This is probably when Kansas State's little story runs out. Bama's going to win, but in that championship game, if we want to win,
Alabama, Gonzaga. We got to take the Zags. What's the total? I think they would put this total because both teams can score.
It'd be high. It's
80. I was thinking like 168. Looking at like an 80-something game.
I bet it would be 82-77.
82-77. So we're going to say 159. We'll just go 160. How about that?
There you go.
160. Boom, and there you got it, ladies and gentlemen. There you got it. Entry submitted. Let's see what we can do there. Like I said, go over to gameon.locals.com. It's free to join. When we win this contest, we will have some fun prizes to give out and spread the love around. Did you see the Paul George news yesterday?
I did. I haven't looked at anything this morning. I fell asleep last night before midnight, so
Uh-huh.
anything that happened on West Coast, I don't know anything about.
So Paul George exits the game with a really bad leg injury. So he went up, basically he went up to go get the rebound, came down, knees collided with another player, and he just immediately collapsed on the court and was down for a long time and had to be helped off the court. And it's the same leg that he had injured in 2014, where his leg snapped, right? That he's already had
Oh yeah.
repaired.
Ugh.
So it's not looking good.
Do you think
Let's
it's
see.
more of like a bruised knee, or do you think like it's an actual? Because it sounds like if they just knock knees, structurally it shouldn't affect it. But hell, I'm not a doctor. I'm in a closet right now.
I don't know what could.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what could have. It didn't look too terrible, but obviously, like something happened there. Um, but when you're
They're
messing with a
they're
leg
good
that's
though.
already been repaired on, it's tough.
What seed are they? I mean, they've got a playoffs locked. So now it's just, isn't it just a matter of him getting healthy?
Let me see. I'll look at the standings, but yeah. I mean, basically, that's the thing. They're wondering if this is a season injury or not. They're the fifth seed, the 38 and 35. Um, They're actually not really locked because they're only 2 games ahead of the 7th, 8th, and ninth spot. So they could
NBA,
easily lose a couple games. You could find yourself in the play-in spot real quick.
that's like the seeding. Like I hate the way the NBA has their playoffs set up. I mean, I like the playing games, but the fact that you know some years they have multiple teams that don't even have a winning record that are in these games. So I don't know. NBA's got to
Hmm.
get that.
Yep. Well, that was just the kind of big news there in the NBA. Quickly, yesterday, what happened? Magic beat the Warriors. Magic beat the Wizards 122 to 112. Yesterday morning, we went over. There was a ton of NBA dogs that won, like pretty heavy dogs that all won outright. So let's see how today went. The Magic were favorites, and they did win. Nets lose to the Cavaliers. Cavaliers 115, Nets 109. Cavs were the favorites, so we got 2 favorites already winning. This one was kind of shocking to me. I saw the spread of this game. The Hawks were a 14-point favorite over the Pistons. And I haven't been following Detroit that much, but what the hell is going on there? And the Hawks came out and they covered the 14 and then some. They won 129-107. I was on the under in that game, and that barely got there, and I was sweating that one out. And then the Spurs, Pelicans 119, Spurs 84. Pelicans whooped up. They were another 13.5-point favorite. I said yesterday, I go, usually these big spreads don't all work out, but so far these big spreads were right. They blown out teams here in the NBA, and that's what's weird about betting the NBA. You can see some tight spreads and you're scratching your head, and you can see some big spreads and you're like, I don't know. And it's just any given night. Celtics 132 win over the Kings 109. And then the Thunder 101 win over the Clippers. Like we said, Paul George got injured in that game, had to go out. Today's games we have briefly. Let's go to the pro report actually. No, I want the NBA pro report. What are we doing?
You don't want the CIB?
No, I don't want that. Warriors on the road at the Mavericks, and I actually did bet the Warriors on the road, which I know is dangerous. It's dangerous, and I did it anyways.
I think that's a good bet. I mean, at some point, they're gonna win.
It's got to turn around. Yeah, so. And they just got out of the, like we just looked at the standings. They're in the 60s, so they just got out of the play-in tournament, so they want to keep winning there. Warriors, Mavericks. Warriors -2 favorite. Sharp money, big money on the Warriors. Warriors getting 39% of the bets, 39% of the bets, 89% of the money. Wow. Blazers, Jazz. What's that?
And it has sharp action, so it's big money.
Sharp action. Big money, sharp action. So maybe there's something to it. Blazers, Jazz. Blazers are a 6-point favorite on the road to Utah. Nuggets, 6.5-point favorite on the road visiting the Warriors, and big money on the Nuggets. Knicks are a 2-point dog on the road down in Miami. Sharp money is coming in on the Knicks. Hawks are a 4.5-point favorite over the Timberwolves. How do the Hawks play heavy steps back-to-backs when they're home and then they go on the road? Do you know? Have you been following them?
I would bet against the Hawks in a back-to-back. I mean, they're below. I think they're at 500. So
okay,
they've struggled to stay there all year. But I would Timberwolves are actually pretty good, aren't they? I would probably take that Timberwolves.
Yeah, especially since they got to travel overnight too, you know. Okay. Sixers 3-point favor over the Bulls. Sharp money coming in on the Bulls. Rockets and Grizzlies. Rockets 13-point dog against the Grizzlies, and there's some sharp bettors taking the Rockets. God bless you. God bless you. Spurs and Bucks. Another one. Spurs 17.5-point dog to the Bucks.
You think it's because they're on a back-to-back? Is why
probably because they're on a back-to-back and they just got blown out. But I like that they just got blown out because no one's going to want to bet them today. That's why you see sharp action taking that 17.5 points.
Yeah, I agree.
And honestly, the Bucks know they just need to do enough to win, you know?
Yeah.
Pacers, Raptors, 8-point favorite at home. Sharp money on the Raptors, big money on the Pacers, though. And then Suns, Lakers tonight. Suns 1-point favorite over the Lakers. Only a 1-point favorite. That doesn't seem right to me. That means like someone's out, Booker's out, Durant's out, or something like that, right?
Or they're anticipating some people resting or something. Because Suns that should be definitely a bigger line.
Yeah. And then the last segment here, going a little bit longer than normal, but here we go real quick. Last segment, I love NFL free agency. Let's just run through some rumors and stuff. I go over to NFL on Twitter, NFL at NFL Rums. They're great. Some things that have been breaking in the NFL with the free agency. Nothing new on the Lamar Jackson, nothing new on the Aaron Rodgers stuff. But we have Austin Eckler went on to the Green Light podcast, Chris Long's podcast, and said he'd like to stay with the Chargers if it was under the right circumstances. I don't think that's going to happen because this is the circumstances is money.
He's also, I mean, I don't want to call it whining, but he's complaining about running backs and how they get paid. But dude, the game's changed.
Mean, there's a market. Yeah, that's the market. Former Panther linebacker Corey Littleton signs with the Texans. Texans are signing a lot of people. I mean, they got the cap space, but they're actually doing some pretty damn good signings. And we still got a draft coming up, you know, and they're going to take a quarterback, probably get him a wide receiver in the draft. I like it. Cowboys are signing running back Ronald Jones to a 1-year deal. I think that is a good move for Dallas. What do you think? They got Pollard and Jones now. You got Jones who could be a little bit heavier back for you, that grinding back, and you got Pollard, you're more explosive, catch out of the backfield back. And Jones can catch out of the backfield too, as we saw.
You see Lamar, he has someone representing him now, but they're not approved by the NFLPA, so it's not really an agent. Like, what do you think? Do you think he's being advised, like, correctly? I don't think he is.
I don't know. We don't know. We don't know how much experience is. I never doubt. Listen, I'm not one. Anyone who wants to push against the system and do something different and not do the status quo, I'm okay with. Because I think too many times we fall, like everywhere in society, we fall into this is the way it's been. This is how you're supposed to do it. So do it this way, and it just becomes like a machine type conveyor belt type thing. And then anyone that wants to do something different, go ahead, do it. I mean,
do you think he'll play if he ends up with that franchise tag?
I don't know. I think he's not playing for the Ravens. I think him and the Ravens are done. And I think we're going to get to that at the top of this here too. There was some report on that. Calais Campbell is visiting the Falcons today. It looks like Cowboys are re-signing Dante Fowler to a 1-year deal. Cam Newton was showing off his arm strength. He was a little inaccurate, but he's showing off his arm strength. Rumors are Cam might be, if Lamar moves on, when they move on from Lamar, Cam might be the bridge quarterback there in Baltimore. So be interesting.
Hey, as long as his arm strength is good, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. That he had that shoulder injury and just could not throw the ball anymore. So, and like he said, he knows that he's better than some of those quarterbacks that are starting for NFL teams. And I agree, as long as the arm strength is there.
And he stays healthy.
Yeah.
This one is scary. The Chiefs have interest in Cardinals DeAndre Hopkins. Ooh. You know what's weird? I thought I saw something that said, who was it?
There's a couple teams, I think.
Cardinals wanted, what was it? The Cardinals wanted a 2nd-round pick for Hopkins. I thought I saw something that said that the Patriots offered that and a 4th, and they turned it down. I don't know. We'll see. Former Seahawks wide receiver Marquise Goodwin's visiting the Browns. Browns looking to add another wide receiver, which I thought was interesting. Former Raiders 1st-round pick Jonathan Abrams signing with the Saints. Saints making some moves there. Panthers will send 11 representatives to Ohio State CJ Stroud's pro day. I mean, I think he's going number 1 overall at this point.
At this point, you've traded up to, you should already know who you want.
Yeah, they're going to get him as long as, I mean, they're going to keep doing their due diligence on him, right? And keep scouting him. But I think he's the guy. Patriots, Juju Smith-Schuster said the reason he chose New England was the talk with Bill Belichick. That'll do it. Probably want this. Juju, you come here. Catch the ball. Win another ring if you try hard.
Watch, he'll go to New England and just be a totally different player. He'll like touchdown passes, everything.
Yeah. Here we go. The Ravens were mentioned as a team for Cam Newton. We talked about that. Let's see. Where was the other stuff? No one really cares what happens to Odell. Do you care what happens to Odell? At this point, I feel like he's just going to be an average wide receiver. You know,
I mean, he likes the camera more than he likes the field. So
that's what I'm thinking too. Browns haven't closed the door on a possible trade for Broncos Jerry Jeudy. No, it was Jerry Jeudy I was thinking that the Patriots sent for. I don't know why so many people want Jerry Jeudy. I don't get it. But the Browns
fast.
Yeah, but he's injured and I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd rather have Hopkins than him. But isn't it strange? Do you think it's strange that the Browns are looking for another wide receiver?
I think everything the Browns do is strange.
Fair enough.
They completely ruined the quarterback market with the guaranteed money they gave to Deshaun Watson. And that's why you're seeing Lamar doing what he's doing. So thanks for ruining the quarterback market, Browns.
There it is. Well, welcome. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Thank you, Heavy Steps, for hopping in, our MLB expert, all things baseball. This is another great show of the morning. Espresso shot. Get a little jolt of sports news and what's going on and what to expect for today. Tomorrow, we do have the Sweet 16 finally kicking off. I'm excited for another weekend of basketball. You got anything?
Can you believe the Sweet 16 starts at like 2:00 tomorrow?
God,
like, what are you doing?
11 my time, so
even better for you.
Yeah, and I get to watch it at work. That's what I'm talking about. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. And once again, if you're over on Rumble, hit that like button. Please hit that like button because apparently it does mean something over there and it helps the algorithm. And yesterday, like I said, we had 51,000 views on that show. Let's keep it going. We're up on the front page right now. Again, not the main spot, but in the sports section. Subscribe to the channel. And you know what? We will see you guys tomorrow morning. Later.